And now for further analysis, we are joined by former senior researcher at Amnesty International and human rights activist, University of Essex lecturer Abbas Faiz. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Asia One. It's great to have you here with us on this news bulletin. Well, Mr. Faiz, Amnesty says Indian police used excessive force against youth-led protests. How serious do you think are these allegations, and what accountability should follow here?
Thank you for having me in this program. It is very serious. These are not just simple allegations. They've been backed by clear and verified evidence. And it is absolutely for the government of India to ensure that an investigation is taking place, to ensure that the police personnel responsible for committing these violations, these acts of abuse of power, they are brought to justice. But that is an important issue, and it is really something that is that needs to be done as soon as possible. There are a lot of delays, but we can cover that in a minute.
Well, the protests began over exam regularities, as we know, but expanded to unemployment and lack of opportunities. What do these protests reveal about growing frustration among India's youth?
Well, exactly. I mean, this government has been in power for a very long time, and it is, India is actually developing. The economy in India is developing. India receives a lot of support from Western governments because of the confrontation that it has from time to time with China. It has become a darling of Western powers. And the government and the country receives a lot of support, financial, economic, and other support that really creates a lot of wealth in India. But how is this wealth in the country being actually distributed? That is at the core of these protests that we see, because this wealth has not been translated into employment. For the young people who are leaving universities, and they need to have a secure job. They need to form a family. They need to really live according to the standards that are possible in India with the wealth that is being generated in the country. So I mean, all of these things come together. The frustration, the lack of, the problem that they have with corruption. I mean, corruption is mounting in India, and we can look at the report of the Transparency International for evidence on that. So I mean, all of these things create a sense of frustration and a lack of really a vision of future for the youth of India, who need to be supported, who need to be actually looked after. I think that is what it says.
Mr. Faiz, India's Supreme Court has ordered an investigation into the clashes. How important do you think this inquiry, and also can it ensure accountability for alleged police abuses?
Thank you. This is a very important development. I think we have got to acknowledge that at least the judicial system in India has maintained a degree of independence from the executive authority, from the government, and that is to the credit of the authorities there. It hasn't been, because of the government. It has been probably against the problems that the government has been creating for the judicial system, but it has maintained its independence, and I want to attribute that. So the Supreme Court has done a good job. They have actually asked for an investigation, an independent investigation. But will this investigation happen? Will it actually maintain its independence? Will the police not actually falsify the evidence, destroy the evidence even? We have examples of that to have been done in the past. So it is, the initiative is good, but it is going to face a lot of challenges. Challenges from a parallel investigation that the police itself is trying to do, and we know when the force that is responsible for violence against protesters, for example, in this case. If they investigate their own activity and conduct, and they are going to come to the conclusion that they haven't done anything wrong. So, I mean, there is that problem. The independent investigation, on the other hand, they usually take a very long time. When they come up with a recommendation, that recommendation is hardly implemented. But there have been instances in the past when, rare instances, I would say, when an independent investigation has actually finalized their report and they have given their recommendations. Some of those recommendations have been carried through. So we'll have to wait and see what is going on with this investigation.
The UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination has also raised concerns here over extrajudicial killings, arbitrary detention, torture, and racial profiling in India. How serious are these findings, and what international accountability should India face here, in your opinion?
Well, I think it is very important for these kind of reports to be as widely publicized as possible. And there should be, I mean, the international community has been a bit lenient on India in relation to the human rights violations that are taking place there. I think the United Nations have got to also set up an independent committee in exactly the same way as the Supreme Court has talked about the independent committee in relation to the protests. The United Nations should set up an independent committee, but I doubt if that will be actually done. So for the time being, unfortunately, although the report highlights some very, very serious problems, we will have to wait and see whether the United Nations itself will do something more serious to investigate and to bring those to the attention of the government of India and put pressure on the government of India to actually put its acts together and eliminate these problems from its judicial and executive approaches to civilian populations.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for joining AsiaOne. We appreciate your time.